Welcome to another episode of 5D Lifestyles. We're talking 5D fungus right now, y'all. And I'm excited to show you guys something that I think could apply to a lot of people. It's like a passive grow room system for growing mushrooms. You could kind of get some ideas for some modifications of your own and grow off of that. So I hope you enjoy this video. Watch it to the end. I believe it was right in the same spot where I told you a long time ago when I was giving you the grow room tour that we're going to come back and talk about this grow room. Behind this door, I used to have some awesome grow rooms that I do have a video for. Check them out. I did have to take those grow rooms down. Sad but true. I was a little bummed at first, but you know what? In a weird way, it's been an awesome blessing in disguise. I've been able to spend some other time and energy into other projects, fungus and non-fungus, which have been going really well, which is cool. And the other cool thing is that I think all of my future grow rooms, when I build new ones, because I really only have this one right now, I want my grow rooms. When I build more grow rooms, they're going to be in this style, right? I am blessed to live in a place that is like ideal mushroom growing temperatures year round. So while before was great, you know, I have a bad habit of trying to like reinvent the wheel before I know how the wheel works or what a wheel is. And so my wife and myself, when we started growing mushrooms, are like, just do what everyone else does. Do what Stamets does, just downsize in scale and get a little DIY on it, but do the same systems, which is what I did. I've learned a lot, and I was very fortunate to learn a lot with those grow rooms. And now that I'm somewhat versed at growing mushrooms, I've realized, like, cool, why run electricity to have air? Granted, in the lab, I gotta, have forced air system to sterilize, but in commercial grow room styles, you use the forced air system to provide oxygen and, for a couple other reasons, positive pressure room. But basically the main reason is to provide oxygen. So I'm like, why pay for oxygen? Why use up, energy resources when oxygen is free, right? And so, if you're in a place where you have to govern, like, you need to heat the room or cool the room depending on the season, forced air system, hey, I'm not knocking it by any means. I eventually, to be honest, would love to have them again. But I think this is where I'm going to go first for a while, for a lot of grow rooms, because this is working out really well. So in my climate, it's really just for 3-4 days at a time, it can be really humid, and then 3-4 days at a time, it can be really dry. So for me, really the main thing here was supplemental humidity. So I'm going to show you all these systems inside. But most people have a time of year where they have optimal growing temperatures, and you could kind of fluctuate that depending on species, and you could use a grow room like this in the shoulder season, spring and fall, and get away with like a really high production zone that can produce a lot of bug-free, awesome quality mushrooms with pretty minimal build and minimal energy input. So I'm going to kind of give you a little walkthrough, a little tour of my spot. And so, like I said, the main thing here is supplementing with humidity. The other thing is, obviously, I need a way for them to breathe, right? And so I originally was going to do this room all screened in. I will give some kudos to Paul Stamets if you ever watched this video. Definitely a lot of this initial idea for this grow room came from him, and he liked to have an outdoor meshed in room that took the overflow when you still have things that are fruiting, but you don't want to waste them on your main room. That's why this was originally built. Now it has become my primary grow room, and I am using it as a prototype to design the best system. And so what we did in the first one is I just did basically 2 windows. I did like a long rectangle shape because it is nice to have a flow through of air, and that's how you want most grow rooms anyway. And so I did that here where I put 1 window on this side and then 1 window on the other side to hopefully gain a flow through. And then I got wild. There was a thought right as we were building it, is that this whole roof is also this greenhouse screen, right? So it's a fine screen that won't let bugs in, because if you've grown mushrooms, the bane of your existence is fungus gnats. don't like them. They're tiny. They look like fruit flies. There's two different kinds, sacred and phorid, and they're just not fun, right? So you want to keep them out. This room is doing a really, really good job of that. And so the whole top is the same screen. And the cool thing about that is it just like, you know, they're off-gassing CO2, which is in slightly heat form, and it just rises up. I don't know if this will be the exact design of when I do futures. I might have this whole wall be screen and the other whole wall be screen. I might do it up at an angle. There are some disadvantages to having your ceiling screen, but right now this is working really well, right? I've got a shade cloth right there to kind of keep that late afternoon sun out. It's double shade. It's a little haggard these days. It's been up for years, probably 4 years, 3 years. Cool, so let's go inside. I'm gonna show you my systems. So welcome inside. You know, you gotta time your grow room to show it off when it's fruiting, right? So I'm just excited. Can't be too animated in here because there are mushrooms all around me. Beautiful shiitakes. I love these guys. I love shiitakes so much. Bless them for being on this planet. If somehow you have yet to try shiitakes in your life, you gotta try them. So I'm just about to harvest a bunch of these. There's still a bunch more babies coming on. So I figured this was a good time to show you guys my room. And so again, passive room. So the main thing here is I've got this system here as my humidification system, right? So this gives that vapor, right? You know, I've got a 3-disc ultrasonic humidifying system, and that is run off just a $12 little fridge fan that I rigged up, and with a buddy of mine, Cesar, we came up with a nice little system to blow air in, humidify out, and it runs in this tube and pumps, you know, humidity out these holes. You know, if you've seen my spawn video, this is actually that exact humidification system that I pulled from there because I normally want to use that, and I modified it a little bit to work in this room and put a 3-disc instead of a 1-disc, so it works really, really well. I would make it better in the future. I would do a bigger tub for that humidification system. I have this thing rigged on a timer just so I don't run the risk of overheating that thing. But apparently if I have that humidifier in a big old tub of water, I have no risk of it overheating, in which case I could run it a lot longer. So I would do that. I would also have the air in a straight line, where here I have the air pump down and then pushes the humidity back up out the tube. I would have everything in a straight line, and I would have a bigger tank, and I'd have that fan pump over and pump in a straight line in the humidification tube. What else? So then I also, above that, I have the original tube of this room, which is I can make it rain, right? And so that thing is a bunch of super fine misters, just really simple ones that I plugged into this little piece of tubing, which is also on a sensor, right? So that sensor, where is it? It's right here. So this sensor here is rigged to the rain. This sensor over here, I'll show you, is rigged to the cloud, right? So I can make it cloud or I can make it rain. And you know, usually they're like a cloud, but in a room like this, both are really crucial, because when it does get really dry and you're in, say, you know, you wouldn't want to make it rain right now. This would just not be awesome for your product. You don't want these getting wet in these final stages before harvest. But in your early stages, when you're really focused on keeping this humidified, I have them both rigged up, right? I have the cloud rigged up at a higher humidity, but if it can't hold it, then the misters, if it drops to a certain level, those will kick on, and I have like a 15-degree humidity where it'll pump up to that, and then it won't click on until, again, it drops 15 degrees below that. And that way I can keep this room at a good humidity state when it is really dry out. And so I'm really excited. This room's gonna work out really well. I have it a little kind of, you know, you're always trying to pack it in, right? So it's a little narrower of a hallway than I would like. I'm always on guard to like not bump into mushrooms in here. And then these shelving is a little tight, especially for shiitake. But whatever, minor little tweaks. This isn't dense enough, right? And so I am really excited about the future. The plastic I use is greenhouse plastic. Works really well to let light in, so I don't have any artificial light in this room. So these are like pure gathering up that vitamin D, which is another benefit of a room like this, is they have shown that your mushrooms will get a better vitamin D content if they're getting passive sunlight, natural sunlight. So it's like, for me, I'm like, why not use what's available in the nature and then keep, and then modify things that we make with man and make a nice synthesis of them both. I do have a double door system. Like I said, it's all about keeping the fungus gnats out, right? I do have a drain. Unfortunately, it was an afterthought. I don't know what I was thinking. It wasn't. But the drain, obviously you need a drain. I have the hosing. So, it's just all about like being able to clean this room, cycle it out. And I keep really high quality mushrooms organically. I don't have to use any weird, but mushroom industry, watch out, y'all. They use some crazy pesticides to keep those fungus gnats out. I use doors and netting, right? And clean my room and cycle it out. And then I can grow these beautiful, organic, delicious shiitakes that are just oh so good, right? So I'm about to harvest these shiitakes. Have I said that I love shiitakes? Have I made that statement on here? Also, a little side note. This room used to be the only room I could get my shiitakes on the second flush. I wasn't getting second flushes indoors. And the reason why, I think this room gets a better temperature drop. So I eventually shifted to use this room, a few years ago, as just my second round shiitake block room. So yeah, any questions, comments, concerns? Oh, put them in the comments, right? Subscribe to my channel. And y'all, I'm giving away the farm here. I'm giving you all sorts of information about growing mushrooms. If this has been valuable, it would be awesome if you wanted to support me on Patreon. It would be a big help. I will be releasing more mushroom videos on Patreon. I'm working on a setup of growing mycelium with no grain for extracts for medicinal properties. I'm going to post that on Patreon. So check us out, right? I'm just starting out, but help keep this going. I will continue to give away the farm if this farm supports me, right? I don't have all the grow rooms to support me with mushrooms, although today is the day, but I just can't keep it on the loop as much. So support me on Patreon, right? Is this too much? Am I begging too much? Come on, help a brother out, all right? It's $1 a month, helps us out, be super cool. But thanks so much for watching. If you don't want to do Patreon, all good. I really do appreciate you guys watching. I really love comments. They're awesome. It's an interesting way for us to engage in this world that we live in right now of cyber reality. All right, this is my reality. I'm projecting to you on cyberland, and let's talk.